Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nige here once again, and welcome back to System Shock Radio. If this is your first episode of System Shock Radio, welcome, but if you are returning, welcome back. But as always, I've got some topics for you guys, so without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and admittedly, I am kind of late to the party when it comes to this. This has been going on for the better part of, I believe, like a month or so now. But the Completionist drama on YouTube. As I mentioned before, I normally don't really get into drama or controversy and things like that on YouTube, mostly because it's not really my forte. Admittedly, there are plenty of other channels out on YouTube who have covered this way more in depth and way more extensively, and for much longer, pretty much since the beginning. In fact, it was one of these YouTubers that essentially brought about the beginning. But it's something I did kind of want to weigh in on at least just a little bit. So the Completionist has been in some drama involving a misappropriation of charity funds, or at the very least lack thereof. And by lack thereof, I mean not really doing anything. It is a very interesting and heartbreaking situation. So I do have an excerpt from the Completionist Wikipedia article, which you made it as a YouTuber when you have your own Wikipedia article. So I'm gonna read an excerpt from here, to kind of give a little more context behind it. So it reads: following the death of his mother in 2013 from frontotemporal dementia, Karl, aka the Completionist, co-founded the Open Hand Foundation and organized the annual live stream charity event Indieland. The event showcases various indie games along with interviews with developers and guest appearances from gaming personalities with the intent to raise funds for dementia research. In November of 2023, YouTubers Karl, Jobst, and SomeOrdinaryGamers uploaded videos revealing Form 990 PF records, which showed that the Open Hand Foundation had not made any charity contributions between 2014 and 2022, accumulating $655,520 in unspent assets. In a call with the two YouTubers, Karl claimed that until 2022, he was unaware that the funds had not been donated and was currently seeking an appropriate charity, still not having yet donated any funds. However, Jobst highlighted that the foundation's website lists the University of California, San Francisco, aka the UCSF, as a recipient of research funding. Additionally, during the October 2023 Indieland event, Karl had claimed the Open Hand Foundation was donating to the UCSF, the Alzheimer's Association, and Association for Frontotemporal Degeneration. So this caused a huge stir, not only because of the nature of what was going on, that being funds that are supposed to be going to charity not going to those charities. Not only was it the response given by the Completionist as regards to why the charity money has been donated, but essentially who it was. The Completionist, as I scrolled through the comments, a lot of people said the same thing, and it's somewhat what I felt, and I'll explain why. But people saying that the Completionist was the last person that they expected this type of thing from, and that they were caught off guard by it, didn't see it coming, and especially with his mother having died from that, the fact that this has happened is really unfortunate. Now, me personally, I was subscribed to the Completionist. I watched some of his videos, and I was pretty entertained by them. So pretty much his channel consists of going through the games and essentially 100% completing them, and pretty much doing everything, whether that being 100% completing the game, trophies, stuff like that as well. There are some games he wasn't able to 100% complete, and of course, there's nobody bats 1,000, but yeah. So a lot of people were entertained by them. I certainly was entertained by them. So to see this was pretty upsetting, and it's not like someone who was had like a string of controversy, and this was the tipping point. He wasn't someone who was constantly mired in controversy. His record was almost squeaky clean, which is why a lot of people felt compelled to trust him and enjoy his content and stuff like that. So when this came out, both Karl Jobst and Some Ordinary Gamers, aka Mudahar, when they dropped their videos, it caught everybody off guard. As for the situation, and the excuse given, the fact that they couldn't find a suitable charity, it's admittedly a pretty weak excuse. I would understand, like, I would understand, and if they said we couldn't really find a suitable charity, but then explain that to people, saying we couldn't find a suitable charity, and this is what some people had brought up. Maybe don't do the charity donations just yet, until a suitable charity is found, or say, or be transparent. Pretty much transparency and communication, which didn't happen here. Or say to your audience, we can't find a suitable charity, so these funds will sit here until a suitable charity is found. Now, would that still cause some controversy? Likely, but not as much as it having to be unearthed and dug up and found out without any word from the completionist. And at the time of this recording, he still hasn't officially made a statement. He has turned off the comment section on his YouTube videos, which is definitely not a good sign. But otherwise, so far, he hasn't made a official statement saying like what's going on. Not official formal apology or anything like that. Although I'm sure, or the YouTuber apology, he will live on in infamy as compared to several other YouTuber apologies. But not being transparent in where the funds were going, and the fact that this has been going on for almost 10 years. Or it says between 2014 and 2022. That's 8 years. There's that stuff building up for 8 years, and nothing's being done with it, and no word on it. Almost like it's trying to be hidden, which is not a great sign at all. It is a I'd say very damning indictment of the assets. Like, if the money truly is still there, or then the fact that it hasn't been donated, it should have been listed. It should have been pretty much more communication. But then also the fact that the charities are listed on the website, right, and apparently aren't being donated to, is even worse. Like, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Whereas, like I said, other channels have covered this extensively. I do recommend checking out those videos. It's not only from Karl Jobst himself and Mudahar, but even Optimus made a video about it. So definitely check out those videos. In fact, if I remember, I'll try to link them in the description. I'll try to make a note to myself to do so. But yeah, it's a pretty heartbreaking situation there. But the next thing that we're going to talk about is that we finally have some of our first images for Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic 3. So of course, Shadow was teased as coming in at the end of Sonic 2, and so now we have a couple images. The major one is the sneakers, the Shadow sneakers / like skates that he has. It's because he does tend to skate around. But then we also have a teaser image showing potential for Shadow's design. I believe this may be the official look for him, but so far, not too bad. Apparently, some people aren't the biggest fan of his shoes, but that's the shoes Shadow's always had. But yeah, I'm excited and interested to see what they do with Shadow. Admittedly, I haven't watched the other Sonic the Hedgehog movies, mostly because it takes me a while to get to stuff. But I'm interested to see what they'll do. They're hoping to get some Sonic Adventure 2 references in there because that's the game where Shadow debuted, and the game where Shadow was supposed to be killed off, but then he was brought back because he was so popular and turned out so well. But yeah, so, really cool looking so far. So I can't wait to see what they do with him in the movie. And in the meantime, I'm gonna get caught up on the other two Sonic movies in the meantime. But the next thing that we're gonna talk about, and it's something I alluded to in a video earlier this week. Excuse me, when I talked about CM Punk's return to WWE, apparently there was a committee, and I talked about this when CM Punk got fired from AEW. There was a committee assembled by Tony Khan to determine what to do with CM Punk, and it was ultimately determined that he was fired. But it recently came out that Bryan Danielson was part of that committee. So at first, it seemed like he was the head of the committee. That's what the reports would suggest anyway. But nevertheless, as we do have an interview with Danielson himself, pretty much stating he wasn't the head of the committee. He confirmed his involvement, and and the quote he has here is you know how the internet is. There's like some people would say I was the head of the disciplinary committee, because it's a quotation there, and I'm like, listen, there were more people involved in this decision, but most of them were all lawyers. To say that I was the head, I don't even have a college degree. He laughs. I'm not in there bossing people around or anything like that. But Danielson also says that I like CM Punk. I think he brought a lot to AEW while he was there, and also he says I wish him the best in his future, and I hope his run there goes well. In regards to CM Punk joining WWE, and Danielson alluded to his involvement in a tweet that he made, pretty much saying that difficult decisions have to be made, but they're ultimately the right decisions, which for a lot of people at first was cryptic, but then once this came out, kind of confirmed what people said, and he did had some flack for it, for CM Punk no longer being a part of AEW, the fact that he was on that committee at all did rub some people the wrong way, especially now that he's gone from there and is back in WWE. But if Danielson is to be believed here, it probably wasn't an easy decision, especially considering what's going on and the fact that CM Punk and Bryan Danielson / Daniel Bryan and have had some history. They've interacted with each other several times, especially in WWE. So with Danielson being a part of that committee, I'm sure, probably to get a wrestler's perspective, some people were wondering, like, why is a wrestler part of that committee? And it does make sense, like a fellow pro wrestler wanting to see the perspective of another pro wrestler who's kind of in the hot seat, at least at that moment in time. But he did catch some flack for for being a part of that committee, and the fact that CM Punk is no longer there. And I'm sure part of it is projection, perhaps that CM Punk isn't there anymore, therefore blame Bryan Danielson, almost like a scapegoat kind of thing. But nevertheless, I do hope CM Punk does well in WWE. And the fact that he's, even though he is no longer a part of AEW, but so just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit. But it also does beg the question: do you think CM Punk being released from AEW was the right call? I said it when he was fired from AEW that it was unfortunate, but he had become kind of a liability, being involved in all these fights and stuff, and especially after reading into what exactly happened between him and Jack Perry, that's a stupid reason to get fired, or like it's a stupid reason to start a fight and then to subsequently get fired, or essentially over a petty disagreement about legitimate glass. And I think Punk being let go was less about what actually happened between him and Jack Perry, and more his reaction to it. Like that was not worth being involved in a fight over, or that. Hey, let Jack Perry make that comment, have him look like the idiot, and then just keep it moving, and maybe maintain distance between yourself and Jack Perry. But and I'm sure all that was brought up on the committee, but ultimately it was decided, and that's something else that people have brought up, and I believe something I brought up in the video as well. How the committee was there and they made that decision, and it was more of a recommendation, but ultimately the decision came down to Tony Khan. He ultimately had the final say, and I guess based off that, he decided that CM Punk had to go. But yes, I kind of just wanted to briefly mention that. But the next thing we're going to talk about is the Iron Claw. So we got a trailer for it and everything, and the Iron Claw is coming out. Apparently it was released kind of already. He at the Texas Theater in Dallas on November 8th, but it's gonna have a limited theatrical release on December 13th, and then it's gonna expand and I guess worldwide on December 22nd. A number of release dates, but I'm excited and interested when it comes to the movie. If you know anything about the story of the Von Erichs, because this is based off the Von Erich family. If you know anything about the story and the tragedy and everything involving the Von Erich family, I think this will be an interesting movie. The cast is pretty solid as well. You have Zac Efron playing Kevin Von Erich, Jeremy Allen White as Carrie Von Erich, Harris Dickinson as David Von Erich, and also Maxwell Jacob Friedman, aka MJF, as Lance Von Erich. So a number of people in here. You even have Chavo Guerrero as Edward the Sheik Edward the Sheik Farhad, of course, the Sheik, the uncle of Sabu. A number of names in there, but this will be an interesting movie, and I can tell this movie's gonna be a tearjerker. Like there's some movies going in, you're like, oh, this is gonna make you cry, this is gonna make you sad. And so, a synopsis here, it says, the film is centered around the Von Erich family, a dynasty of professional wrestlers from Texas that had enormous success in the 1980s and popularized the Iron Claw professional wrestling hold. However, they not only had to battle inside the ring, but they also fought the Von Erich curse. Outside of it, a string of unbearable personal tragedies. And honestly, that's the light way of putting it, because, as like I said, the story of the Von Erich family, very tragic, very heartbreaking, which is why I know this one's gonna be a tearjerker. My friend Steve, you might know him as Plax TV. Go follow him on YouTube, and Twitch as well, and check out the RMP podcast as well. But he's a big fan of the Von Erichs and the story of the Von Erichs. And I remember he was sharing stuff about this, which is kind of where I saw kind of some more of it. Like, I knew about the movie, I knew it was coming out soon. I knew MJF was going to be a part of it, but I more so didn't really know when. But this is what really he brought it to mind here. So go check him out. But absolutely interesting story, very tragic, heartbreaking story, and we'll see how it's adapted to movie form. I imagine similarities will probably be taken and as often biopics do, but I'm still interested, so let me know if you guys are interested in the movie. And the last thing that we're going to talk about is courage. So as always, we're going to look up the dictionary definition of courage before exploring it. And it actually has two definitions as a noun, that being the ability to do something that frightens one, or strength in the face of pain or grief. And I think both of those are very indicative of what courage truly is and how I feel about courage. It's the ability to do something that frightens one. I've mentioned it before on the channel, feeling the fear but doing it anyway, not knowing what's going to happen. And if you take that risk and take that leap of faith, but doing it anyway, because it has to get done, but also you never know unless you try. And And then the other one is strength in the face of pain or grief. Even what you're going through, even when it seems like the world's against you, and you're flat on your back's against the wall, or being able to fight back and say, you know what, I'm going to persevere. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to continue to inspire myself or others. Going to continue doing what I'm passionate about, doing what I'm dreaming of, trying to chase my dreams, accomplish my goals. Well, that takes a lot of courage, and it's something that a number of people don't really have. It can be frightening saying, "Hey, I want to do this thing, but I don't know if it'll work out." But I will submit to you, you never know unless you try. If you never try, then you'll never know what you're capable of. If you never push the limits of yourself, and persevere through what you're going through. If you throw in the towel at the first sign of danger, nothing's going to get done. And so instead, I urge you, who anything you're dreaming of doing, do it. Anything you want to start it. It doesn't. Even if you feel like it's too late, or people won't care, or people aren't interested, do it. Do it not just for them, but do it for yourself. Do it because you're passionate about it. And feel the courage to do so. Even if you don't know what's going to happen, and feel that fear, do it anyway and accomplish it. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this episode. I would thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on anything I talked about in this video, in this episode, your reaction to anything I talked about in this episode. And but thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.